What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery? Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. Now, if for some reason you are a newcomer, let me give you a little bit of a perspective on what I do here, okay? So here in Universal Mastery, I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical degree so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real actual results with what it is that I'm teaching here on my channel simply by applying your observation and awareness. Okay. Once again, if you're new, let me give you a little bit of a perspective of who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, which is very important to really understand whenever you're learning something like this that is in regards to your spiritual self-development. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies. As you see right back there, we got the moon in association with astrology. Okay? So with all of that being understood, what is the topic of our today's video? Now, this is going to be, I'm sure, a popular video because of the title and because of what we're going to be talking about. For sure, this is definitely a popular movie right now. Okay, so the topic is going to be along the lines of everything, everywhere, all at once. Okay, so there is this recent movie that has just came out in 2022, and it is just called that, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And within this movie, there is tons of psychic phenomena. There is tons of occult science that is embedded within this movie. And what I do here on my channel very often is I will take movies, music videos, TV shows, you name it, anything that is embedded in a professional way with occult technology or occult science or occult symbolism. I break it down for you coming from the perspective of a real professional occultist. Okay, so the things you're going to hear me talk about in regards to this video may be a little bit different than just people who are not necessarily professional occultists. Okay, so we're going to be breaking down the occult symbolism within this movie. I saw it just literally about, I want to say it was like 3 days ago. And it is a very good movie. So make sure you go and you watch this movie. This was actually a very well done movie. It was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be a bad movie, but I mean, this is a movie that will stand the test of time. This is a very good movie. People in the next 10 years will be talking about this movie. That's how good it was. So once again, this is what we're going to be talking about. If you want to know a little bit more about the occult symbolism that was within this movie, then you have one thing to do at this point, which is stay tuned. Okay, so let's go into it. So, okay. First thing that I really want to make clear is that this movie, if I was to sit here and literally break down every single tiny piece of occult significance and subtle occult symbolism that was placed in this movie, we would literally be here for the next week. Okay, everything about this movie was subtle. Everything about this movie had huge amounts of occult symbolism, dealing with the multiverse, dealing with the nature of the spirit and the soul, dealing with the nature of your primal self even. And it is, I mean, as I said, there is so much little symbolism that is placed in this movie that if I was to sit here and focus in on every single detail, we would be here for the next week. Okay, so I'm not going to be covering every single little nook and cranny that I recognize within this movie, which is why I recommend you watch it yourself so that you can really absorb all that information and absorb it, the content, and observe it yourself. Okay, I think that would be very valuable. Okay, So yeah, what I am going to cover is some of the primary things that stood out to me that I thought were very interesting, how they used the concepts that are based in occult science and just completely portrayed it in the movie. So what is one of the primary things that we saw within this movie? Everything, everywhere, all at once. So one of the really cool things that I saw that they really showed the audience within this movie was the idea of the spirit. Okay, not only just the idea of the spirit, but the idea of the spirit and how it exists within the multiverse. Okay, so what exactly does this mean? Well, the spirit and the soul are very different. Okay, they exist together, they exist simultaneously within the energy field of the human being, but in regards to their fundamental energetic structures, they are different. The spirit is different than the soul. Okay, and I've discussed this many times before on my YouTube channel, and if you study my channel, you'll find videos where I'm talking about it. Now, the spirit, to make it more simple, to give you a generalized, practical understanding, the spirit is more so masculine. Okay, it has to do with analytical, logical, intellectual ways of thinking, and it's action based. It's movement based, so to speak. Now, the soul is more so feminine. Okay, it's more so in that state of nothingness, that state of inner silence, more receptive to the unknown. Okay, letting go of what you can't control. Okay, the spirit is more so associated with willpower, creating, let's get it done, move from point A to point B to then get to point C. The soul just is everything, yet nothing at the same time, and it's everywhere all at once. Okay, the soul truly is the deepest part of your own energetic makeup that is the primal source of what you are. Okay, the soul literally is the source within yourself, and it is also that source of chaos as well, the state of silence. That's what the soul is. The spirit, as we mentioned, is more so masculine. It uses willpower, will force, and a lot of movement is involved with the spirit. So, with this being explained, how do we see the concept of the spirit becoming manifest in its different ways in this movie? That is the title of this video. So, within the movie, you would see how this main character, the woman, she would be able, and not just her, but other characters as well, they would be able to tap into different spirits by doing things that basically went against rationality, doing things that went against logical, analytical, intellectual perspectives. They were just random, intuitive awarenesses that essentially would come to them. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So, for example, the woman would be, she'd just be, standing still, doing what she's doing. And if she needed to channel a certain type of energy, for example, if she needed to be, a fighter because she was in danger, then what she would do is she would have the ability to channel a professional fighter that existed in a different multiverse than what she was in, yet it was similar to her multiverse, yet it was different at the same time. And the way that she was able to channel the energy, for this example, of that professional fighter was by listening to this intuitive communication that would say, do this irrational thing, do this thing that is out of the norm, and then you can channel the energy of that spirit, so to speak, of that professional fighter existing in a different location of the multiverse. Now, I say intuition. I say the woman was listening to the communication of her intuition. In the movie itself, they represented that as having a headset on, or a little this little earpiece, and there was people that were communicating to her, telling her what she needed to do that basically went against the principles of rationality and logic to tap into the energy. So the people that were in the movie communicating to the woman through her headpiece, they were representing the intuition, okay, by communicating to her. Now, what we can see from this concept is the idea that there are many different versions of you, okay, which was also discussed within the movie as well, where many times over in the movie they mentioned that the main character, the woman, she had many different versions of herself in many different multiverses, and not all of them were successful. Not all of them were the multiverse that she truly was essentially her highest potential, her most powerful self. Yet she did have many different lives in different multiverses that essentially were all existing at the same time. Now, this is a real principle, and this is a real occult concept, because the reality is based on your decision making, right now, you listening to this, there are thousands of versions of yourself that are existing in different multiverses, in different locations of the megaverse, so to speak, yet they all coexist together and can affect you in your current reality, so to speak. So what I mean by this is, based on your decision making, you could make a series of decisions that's then followed by emotions, a mental state, a mindset, a belief system, and actions that then cause you to go down a pathway in life that leads to a certain type of outcome. Wonderful. That is one version of yourself in the multiverse, and there will be results that are associated with those actions and the emotions and mental state and belief system that follow that pathway. Now, let's say hypothetically, throughout your lifetime, you developed a drug addiction, okay, where you started taking substances and you, for some reason, can't get off of them. You find yourself addicted to substance abuse. Now, based on this addiction, you are changing your behaviors, you're changing your actions, your emotional state, your mental state, and your belief system has completely changed in alignment with this substance abuse. And now the actions that you're taking on a day-to-day basis are actually moving in a different direction from when they were when you weren't a drug addict or when you didn't have substance abuse. So essentially, you are following a completely different version of yourself, going into a whole different type of multiverse than the other version of yourself that was not a drug addict, that was not addicted to substance abuse. These two versions of yourself are in two totally different realities, two totally different multiverses, yet they are both you at the same time. So you listening to this, there is a version of yourself that is a drug addict, that is addicted to substance. There's a version of yourself that is completely successful in every way that you think is possible and that you deem as successful. And they both exist. And all it takes is for you to get in alignment with that version of yourself to produce the reality and the results of that version of yourself. So it literally all comes down to your intent. That is how you get into alignment with what type of version of yourself in the megaverse are you going to connect with, so to speak, and then produce that type of reality. Okay, so I really hope I'm making sense. So once again, to make this clear, there are thousands of versions of yourself that live in completely different realities within different multiverses, yet they all exist in the megaverse together. They are all versions of yourself. And the way that you connect with the version of yourself that you truly want comes from the intent. Okay, your intent, based on your decision making, based on your belief system, based on a lot of factors, can align with a version of yourself that is maybe not satisfactory for you, or what you would deem as satisfactory, just as much as you can use your intent with your belief system, with your mindset, to align with a different version of yourself that does produce a reality that you want to live. Okay. And then, there's a lot of other energetic factors that come into play, especially the ego. The ego can help to attach to versions of yourself that aren't necessarily beneficial for you. Okay. And the reality is there is a version of yourself that is it is the most connected to your soul. So there's a version of yourself in the megaverse that is in direct connection. It is like the closest connection to your soul, which represents that version of yourself is the source version of you. It's the version of you that understands source evolution, and it understands that you are an aspect of the source because you have a soul. So naturally, as you're, evolving on your spiritual evolutionary journey, and you're getting more so in touch with your soul, simultaneously shedding your ego, shedding your sense of self-importance, you are naturally further aligning yourself with the most powerful version of yourself in the megaverse, which then is going to produce a reality based on your highest potential, so to speak, or deepest potential. Produce a reality that's in alignment with your purpose, because that version of yourself is the most powerful and deepest version of yourself. Okay? But the most important thing to understand in what we can see within this movie is there are obviously multiple versions of yourself that exist in different areas of the multiverse that all coexist together, though, within the megaverse. Okay? This is a deep subject, but this is what's being depicted in the movie. Now, taking it back full circle to the beginning of what led me down that tangent of explaining that was the fact that they showed how spirit works. So to do something irrational, to break the logical, analytical, and intellectual ways of thinking, right? Random intuition, do this, and then something happens. A power comes to you. This is doing what? This is getting in touch with the feminine aspect of your energetic being, which is receptive to the unknown, receptive to the unconscious and the subconscious. So when the woman would receive communication in her earpiece from the people that were telling her, this is what you have to do to channel this type of spirit or this type of archetype energy, that was symbolic of the woman being receptive to her unconscious and subconscious mind that was communicating to her through her intuition, saying, don't think about logic. Don't think about intellectual or analytical objective thinking. Do something that your intuition tells you to do and see what comes from that. Be receptive to the unknown. Okay? So that's a feminine quality, and we could see that being depicted in the movie itself. And from that feminine quality, she was able to further tap into spirits, tap into other energies within other multiverses as she listened to that intuition that went against rational thought. Okay, this is a real occult perspective, and as you are initiating within the occult field, or as you're developing yourself within the occult field, you are going to experience exactly that. You are going to experience phenomena that comes from your deep unconscious and subconscious mind that makes absolutely no rational sense. I mean, your intuition could communicate to you and say, turn around, walk 10 steps, look up, and stare at the sky. Right? Like, I'm just giving an example of things I've experienced. And you do it, you listen to it, or at least, let me rewind a little bit. You have two options. You can either ignore it and repress it, say that doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do that, or you can listen to it. Let's say you listen to it, you don't know why you're doing it, but you follow it. You take the steps, you look up, you see in the sky there's a certain type of star there, or there's a certain type of constellation. And when you gaze at that constellation or that star, some sort of awakening happens in your consciousness that then sprouts an idea in your head, or in a knowing in your mind, where you're like, whoa, that makes sense. Holy shit. Things like that can happen, and things like that do happen on a deep occult level, or a deep unconscious and subconscious level. That's what was depicted in the movie. As you listen to that intuition, as you listen to that voice of your soul, so to speak, you can tap into power. You can tap into spirits. You can better tap into archetypes. Once again, easily depicted within the movie. That's what she was doing. So all those different people that she was channeling to gain their powers, that was representing of her taking on their spirits. Okay, that was her taking the spirit of those different people. Okay, now there's another principle that's also embedded within this, which is the principle of being formless. Okay, so in order to be able to pull in different archetypal energies or spirits like we see in the movie, you have to be formless, which means it, for example, in the movie, the woman who's channeling all these different energies, these spirits, is she attaching to any of them? Is she holding on to any of them? Meaning, when she channeled the energy of the fighter, did she stay with that for the entire movie, or did other energies come into play as well? The answer is other energies came into play, and she eventually let go of the fighter. Okay, so this is another principle which shows the very important principle of being formless in order to make yourself have the ability to be able to pull in different energies, specifically in this example, different spirits. You have to have a formless foundation, which comes from the feminine aspect of your energetic being, with the aspect of being able to let go and not attach. Let go. Attach, let it into you, use the power that comes with the spirit. Once it's done doing what it needs to do, once you get the result from it, let it go. And then something else can come into the frame. Something else can come into the picture. But in today's time, everyone uses their ego. Everyone uses their sense of self-importance to latch on, to hold on to different energies, to hold on to archetypes, hold on to spirits within themselves because they like the result they're getting. But then they get so attached to that result that they try to hold on to that energetic structure, and it actually stops producing the result that they got when they first received it, yet they're still holding on to it, and it's getting less potent as time goes on. And what is this called in our today's time? This is called being attached. You're too attached. The more attached you get to an energy, the less potent it becomes over time if you can't learn how to just let go and let a new energy flow in. Okay? Energy works in a dynamic, synergistic way on all levels. And that is also being depicted within the movie, as the woman could channel different types of energies, different types of spirits from different people, but they would only last a certain amount of time, and then they would go, and then a new energy could come in. She didn't stay the whole movie with one energy the entire time. Okay, so that's another important principle. Now, here's just another thing to throw in. The woman was the Scarlet Woman. Okay, the main character, the woman, she was the Scarlet Woman. You're going to see in the movie, she's wearing red. She is represented as the Scarlet Woman in the movie. Okay, that was easy to see. And this is just stuff that always happens, you know? If you actually pay attention to most of the popular movies, TV shows, music videos, they oftentimes are going to have the women wearing red, representing the Scarlet Woman. Okay, so that's exactly what she was representing. I'm not going to go into too much detail and depth about, you know, all the other subtle occult symbolism within this movie that was programmed on the observer of the movie, as I can and as I usually do. More so, I'm going to be talking about some of the primary fundamental occult principles that were displayed in this movie, that were very valuable principles that are being displayed, because there was so much of that in this movie. Okay, but remember, even, you know, within movies like this, although they're showing a lot of, you know, subtle occult symbolism, there is an undertone of psychic influence that the producers have placed into this movie to affect you most of the times in a way that is unbeneficial for you if you're not someone who understands your own unconscious and subconscious mind and is not processing it properly. Okay, just to throw that out there, just so you know. And if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking about, just study the videos on my channel, watch the breakdowns that I do with different music videos, and you will start to pick up on some of these concepts. Okay, so this is the last thing that I really want to talk about. So as I mentioned, right? This is what I mentioned. When we are talking about evolution, we're talking about getting back in touch with your soul, okay? Getting back to the source of your primal nature, which is directly connected to the source of all evolution and the source of chaos, okay, within yourself. So your soul is linked to pure evolution, and it's simultaneously linked to primal chaos, which allows evolution to function the way it needs to produce the most power, okay? So I like to say there is a source of evolution and there is a source of chaos, and they work synergistically together, okay? Now, as I've discussed, the source of chaos is the dark feminine, as I've mentioned over and over and over again on my channel. This force can be represented as the black dragon. It can be represented as the Tiamat. It can be represented as Leviathan, okay, or Amalek, mother strength, right? This is a dark feminine motherly force that represents the source of chaos. It represents the primal nature of my soul and of your soul. No one is separated from the source of chaos. We are literally all a part of that because we all have a soul. Okay, no one does not have a soul. I don't care what you think. The soul can get shelled, things can happen to the soul, but at the end of the day, you still have a soul. If you didn't have a soul, you wouldn't be alive. Okay, so with that knowledge, how do we see the dark feminine appear within this movie? Okay, the dark feminine came through the mother's daughter. Okay, so there is a connection there. We're actually also seeing a little bit of a connection of the Hecate archetype, mainly because there was 3 prominent feminine figures that were within the movie itself, which was the mother, the witch, and the crone. Okay, the crone was the lady who was doing the taxes. That's one female archetype. The, snobby crone older lady, but also in another lifetime, she was the main character's spouse. Okay, if you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then the mother, obviously, she's representing the mother archetype, the main character of the movie. And then the daughter, which would be the witch. Okay, the daughter is the archetype of the witch. So we have that threefold feminine energy, which is taking on the Hecate archetype, which is a perfect archetype or a perfect entity to represent in this movie, because Hecate represents witchcraft and magic. Okay, everything about this movie was about basically witchcraft and magic. Okay, it was an occult-based movie. So they threw that little threefold into the movie as well, and I was aware of that. And okay, so the daughter aspect was representing the dark feminine. Okay, obviously, if you've seen the movie, she is the one that is the main enemy of everybody else in the movie, pretty much. Now, everyone's trying to destroy the dark feminine. Everyone's trying to destroy the daughter. And the daughter's basically just saying, look, none of this really matters. You think, like, all of you that are trying to destroy me, the reason why you're trying to destroy me is simply because you don't understand me. You don't understand my nature. You don't understand what I do. You don't understand that all of this is nothingness. Okay? And that's why you're trying to destroy me, because there's something that you don't understand about my nature, so to speak. That's basically what was being communicated in the movie. And this is true in regards to real life and what is taking place in the occult field with the dark feminine, the source of chaos. The source of chaos, dark motherly evolutionary force, it is demonized, just like Tiamat was demonized within the Enuma Elish about 6,000, 4,000 years ago. The same concept is taking place in this movie, and they're making it very clear. The daughter in the movie is representing the Tiamat. She's representing the black dragon. That's obviously why she's dressed in black. And Then you see, in the movie, there's that big donut that's spiraling in a circle. The donut's representing a sphere, and it's also representing a torsion field, which is going clockwise, which is adding to the observers that are watching the movie. But to break that down, what that was representing was the abyss. That donut that was associated with the daughter, that was the abyss. That was basically the sphere of death, which enters into the abyss. And what does the abyss represent? It represents chaos, it represents nothingness, and it represents silence. Okay? And this is the primary representation that was taking place when the daughter was saying, hey, I'm creating this donut, which in the movie, the donut was basically like a vortex that would suck into itself to pull the people in the movie into the abyss. And she's saying, like, this is where you can basically be free. This is where you can free yourself from the illusion of thinking all of this really matters and that you're stuck in the system. And there is truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. That's actually what we do as professional black magician occultists. We are dealing with these dark energies that deal directly with the deepest layers of our unconscious and subconscious mind, continuously dying or shedding our skin of who we thought we were and who we think we are and what's going on in the world around us, to the point where you eventually get so deep into yourself, you realize you are nothing. Okay, you literally are the abyss itself. You are chaos. You are the nothingness. And you achieve that internal state of silence. And once you achieve that, that is the recognition of your primal nature. That's the true awareness of your soul, the true nature of your soul, which means you are in full touch with the truest and deepest nature of your soul. And then from that point, you can start creating. So from the nothingness is when you can create reality, okay? The creation part wasn't really depicted within the movie, but they definitely showed how the daughter associated with the big donut, which was the hidden sphere of death on the tree representing the abyss that sucked everything into the nothingness, that was representing that is the place to go. That is where you want to be to get to the truest nature of your soul. And then at the end of the movie, the mother ended up just letting go of her daughter because she was trying to hold on to, trying to transform her daughter, trying to save her daughter. The mother was trying to be the good shepherd, saying, hey, no, you don't have to go inside the vortex. Like, come over here, come live this normal life with us. And then she eventually let her daughter go. And then the mother even went inside the vortex as well. And that's, that was a very nice ending because it showed the concept of letting go. That was a very feminine concept, a very feminine principle. And to let yourself trust your evolutionary process. Let yourself trust your soul's evolutionary process rather than getting so caught up in the illusionary reality around you. And, at the end of the movie, they both got sucked into that vortex. And at the end of the day, the main character, the mother, was like, she finally realized, like, none of this matters. So she was originally so concerned and caught up with the mundane reality and all the illusionary aspects of dealing with her taxes, making sure the business is running properly. All this stress was on her mind. And she was basically just killing herself. She was living a miserable life. And then the very end, she gets sucked into the vortex and finally realizes none of it really mattered. And then that gave her a deeper level of appreciation for her state, for her current state of being when she came back to her reality, her normal state of being, her normal reality. Now, in reality, is it true that nothing matters? No. Stuff does matter in regards to your soul's evolution. Your soul's evolution matters, okay? That is what is your purpose. So for the movie's sake, what the producers are trying to promote is they're trying to get you into a state using all of the occult symbolism that was placed in the movie to get you to a state where you feel like nothing matters and you just continue to live your normal life. That's literally what the movie was doing on a more so undertone occult programming level. by the producers and things in that nature. They tried to use the abyss symbolism. That's why the donut was going in a clockwise format, because it's adding the abyss to you to get you to a state where it's like, you just don't, none of this matters, but, you know, I know I have to do it anyways, and I appreciate where I'm at in life, so I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I know it doesn't matter. And the reality is yes, your soul's evolution does matter, which means there are certain things you need to do and a certain level of intent that you need to have to really get to your highest evolutionary potential, or we could say your deepest evolutionary potential. But overall, the general idea that was placed in the movie was pretty profound and pretty cool. Okay? But yeah, that was it. Okay, that was like some of the main concepts that we saw throughout the movie. And obviously the daughter was the one that was villainized. She was the one that everyone was afraid of. And primarily, who were the ones that were most afraid of the woman? It was the men. It was the males. They were the ones trying to take her out. Okay, it was the masculine, which was representing the conscious, analytical, logical, intellectual, objective way of thinking. That's what that represents, demonizing the daughter, which is the feminine, the dark feminine, the unconscious and subconscious, the ability to just let go, be receptive, step into the unknown, feel your emotions. And as you could see, the daughter, the dark feminine, how powerful was she? She was the most powerful person in the entire movie. And on top of that, you could see how she was formless as well. She could transform anything whenever she wanted, because she realized that reality is completely malleable when you are receptive to your unconscious and subconscious. So just because something is solid and real doesn't mean that you can't change its energetic structure from a more so psychic perspective and then potentially shift reality itself within time. She was demonstrating that principle as she was going throughout the movie, just shifting her appearance, shifting what she was doing, just doing things that were so out of the logical state. She was representing the power of that primal chaos. That is it. Okay. And once again, that's what was depicted in the movie, and it's a real thing. Okay. That primal source of evolutionary chaos is real, and we are all connected to it through our soul and through our own unconscious and subconscious mind. So to embrace that within yourself rather than demonize it or villainize it, you're going to gain a lot of benefit, and you're going to develop a lot of power over time. Yet it's going to be very challenging to embrace that deep part of yourself, because it's going to shed all the illusions that you thought were necessary, you thought were real. Okay, and this is another great concept being depicted throughout the entirety of this movie. Okay, the woman's like bouncing in and out of consciousness, where she's like, am I going to do my taxes? Am I going to focus on this, my business? Or is this other stuff more important? You know, or is my evolution more important? Or is my soul's journey more important? But once again, the entire concept is getting back to the nature, the truest nature of your soul, which is the nothingness. The nothingness. Okay, that is the true nature of your soul. And from that, then you realize you're everything at once. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave the video. If you enjoyed this, if you felt like it offered you value, come down here and hit the thumbs up button. Okay, also come down here and hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can, and obviously with content like this, you don't want to miss out, so hit the notification bell. Then come down here and hit the subscribe button, because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. And if you really want to get the most out of this content, then you might as well hit the subscribe button, because on a real energetic level, you are linking further into this information when you click that button. Okay, on a real subtle occult level. Okay, it links you into the information. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Okay, I also want to say, if you have any family, friends, or social media platforms, you have my full permission to copy and paste this link and literally send it out to anybody that you feel like this video would offer value to. Okay, you have my full permission. My intent is to spread this content like a wildfire. Okay, and it's been working. So go ahead and do that. I also want to say this. Come down here and add me on Instagram. It is super easy to type in JER_477 and see what I do on social media platforms. Okay, I post unique things there. Okay, Also, if you want to find yourself in a private Facebook community, click the little drop-down arrow, go into the description, scroll down just a little bit, and you're eventually going to come across a post that says private Facebook community. Okay, now directly below that post, you're going to see a link. You click that link, follow where the link takes you, then you can request to join and I'll add you in. Okay, there are over 350 members within the private Facebook group, and there's tons of valuable information in there, and most likely you're going to find yourself surrounded by a bunch of like-minded individuals. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, then request to join. I will add you in. You can stay in as long as you're not chaotic. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. Now, this is the most important link within the entirety of the YouTube description. Click the little arrow drop down. It is the first link at the top. You can't miss it, okay? Right next to it, it says My Patreon. That is going to take you right to my Patreon, okay? Now, on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive, advanced occult content that is not on my public YouTube channel, and that is for many different reasons that we don't need to go into right now. So, right now, there are over 170 members that are a part of the Patreon, and it is continuously growing and thriving. I have content that ranges from live streams to blog posts that talks about a lot of different occult symbolism, rituals, concepts, things in that nature, spirits, you name it. And then all the way down to videos that are similar to this, just a little bit more intricate and a little bit more advanced, okay? And then for tier 3 and up, you gain access to an entire magic training course, which I think would be extremely valuable for anyone primarily who's a beginner trying to get into the occult field and looking for a specific type of practice that you can follow in a structured format to begin developing psychic capabilities, okay? Tier 3 and up is how you gain access to the magic training course. Then as you move up to tier 4, this is the highest tier on the Patreon, and this is the most popular tier on the Patreon as well. Most of the members are actually top tier, and that's for many different reasons, and that speaks for itself. So for that tier, it's called the Universe B Vampire Service. Now, what I do is on the 29th of every single month, I perform a ritual that is advanced in nature, uses high-level occult technology and symbolism, and I perform it on the participants of that vampire service. And what it's designed to do is completely change your energetic structure to be more Universe B dominant. So what this means is that you become more receptive to your unconscious and subconscious, and that gives you the ability to pull in or receive energy from dark energy and chaos in your environment, and then process it, or we could even say integrate it into your own power. So the longer you've been a Universe B vampire, the more power you will have developed over time, okay? And it is a very valuable service. There are tons of people who have received great results from it and continuously do. And I'll leave that there. If that is something that you want to take advantage of, go into the first link in the YouTube description, check it out, okay? With that being said, I would love to give a special shout out primarily to all of the Patreon members, specifically for taking your knowledge, practices, and your studies to that other side. Huge shout out to all of you, okay? Now, the second link below, go to the drop down, can't miss it. Second link below, this is where you can book your tarot card reading with me, okay? As you book your tarot card reading with me, what I can do is I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree. Very unique. You've never probably seen this in any other reading before. I can tell you what you're experiencing, feeling, and going through within the present moment, and then tell you what to expect moving into the near and long-term future based on your position on the Kabbalistic tree. Very valuable information. I've done well over 350 readings. I do about one reading every single day at this point. And once again, I get tons of valuable feedback. So if this is something that you feel you want to take advantage of, check it out. Second link below. We'll leave it there. Now, for the third link below, this is where you can become a YouTube member. Okay, as you become a YouTube member, you gain access to many different types of benefits that come along the lines of benefits during live streams like shout outs, leaving questions, having a badge next to your name, all that good stuff. But most importantly, you have access to the exclusive emoji psychic warfare program, which is a series of emojis that I've created myself that are based on occult principles and occult sciences that can be used in a specific configuration to cause psychic damage to a target of your choice. It really does work. There are thousands of people that have used this already, and there are people right now as we speak that are using it, okay? If you want to take advantage of literally the most simple yet profound way to use psychic warfare, check out the third link below, become a YouTube member, okay? Now, the fourth link in the YouTube description, go down, go to the fourth link. This is where you can book your Emf Incense Sticks, okay? Electromagnetic Frequency Incense Sticks. These are incense sticks that I've created myself, okay? They are made with, first of all, they're organic incense sticks. They're long burning. Each one lasts from 45 minutes at a minimum to 1 hour at a maximum. Very long lasting. And I put in the scent for these sticks. So the specific scent that I chose was based on an occult formula. So I used dragon's blood, which was my favorite incense previously, and I mixed it with an essential oil that's called Dream, which helps to activate deeper layers of the unconscious and subconscious mind because it's that type of essential oil. And that is embedded within the incense sticks, which links us to the serpent energy through the dragon's blood and sexual energy through the dream associated with Yesod on the Kabbalistic tree. And then at a base level, as these sticks are soaking, I have clear quartz crystals in the mix, as well as real citrine quartz crystals that are charging at a base level. And then I mixed in 11 drops of monatomic gold with the formula itself. Okay, 11 drops for the hidden sphere on the Kabbalistic tree, Dath, and it's monatomic gold. So that's actually going into the incense sticks themselves. And yeah, so these are literally the most powerful incense sticks that you can get your hands on, okay? And if you want to take advantage of getting your own bundle of them, they come in bundles of 50. Once again, you go to the fourth link in the YouTube description and you can book your bundle. So far, I've already sold out twice. So, you know, the sooner you book, the sooner you're going to get your bundle. Okay, I'm going in order. So if somebody booked before you, they're going to get theirs first, then you'll get your second, but it will get shipped out to you within the next it'll at least take me 3 days to get it shipped out to you. But yes, I have sold out 2 times already. And I just started releasing this publicly. This is like the third video I've made where I started publicly releasing this. Well, actually, I have to say this. I sold out twice already, and I didn't even make it public yet, only to the Patreon members. So now that it's public, now's the time to get them. That's basically the message. If you want them, place your order sooner rather than later. If not, do what you're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.